Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, we're going to do a little talking about how to start your archive when you don't have any media. That's one of the questions that I get all the time from people. They're like, I don't even know where to start. I don't want to scan everything. I don't have time. But the thing is, you can get started without having to get started with scanners and all of that other bit. This is a wonderful follow-up for those of you that joined us on last Thursday, where we talked about storytelling for people with cognitive decline. So we did a lot of lessons on Thursday about capturing stories and doing some photoreminiscence therapy. And so what we're going to learn today is a really good tie-in to that as well. So it's kind of a dual win, I guess you can say. The recording is up on the webinar for those of you that weren't able to join us on our webinar page on archoral.com. So I encourage you to go check that out. But let's get started with what we're going to do today. Today's topic, archiving without media, telling the story you know. So let's talk about what we're going to do today. This is our agenda. We are going to talk a little bit about where we can find information without having any media. You would be shocked at what is trapped in our brains. Then we're going to spend the majority of our time over in the application, where we're going to talk about using storytelling to record and all of the benefits that come along with that. We're going to look at our auto-transcribing. Then we're going to talk about copying it into ChatGPT. So taking that beautiful voice transcription and moving it over into ChatGPT to get some really great information out of it. So we're going to turn it into an outline. Then we're going to look at how to enter all of the data that you just got into profiles. We're going to look at creating basic profiles. Entering estimates is really important when you're just capturing somebody's memory flow. So through that, we're going to look at our date picker, which is pretty unique to us. We love it. Our address locator and the verification ribbon. Those three things work really well together when you don't have concrete facts, when you're just kind of starting into building out timelines and things like that. Then we're going to show you how you can expand upon it. The other thing is this webinar, we're going to have two handouts for you at the end. One, I've generated some ChatGPT prompts that you can copy and paste. So we'll work through that today. And the other one is how to do some successful storytelling. So what's in our own brain? People say, like I said, I don't have any media. I don't know where to start. Well, you don't have to, because within Archoral, you can just enter in information all day long. It can be as abstract or as detailed as you know at that very moment in time. And our brains are these giant computers that hold a massive amount of information. We just have to think about how to pull that out of not just our brains, but all of the people around us. And once you start getting that concept, that idea in there, it really is mind-blowing how much you can discover, especially when you have tools like ChatGPT to help you out. So what I mean by this is, what do you remember about your own life? You just start with the basics, your school, your residences, your hobbies, your athletics. What do your friends, what do you remember about them? Think about points in your life when you knew them. There are certain people that are just part of particular chapters in your life. And when you start actually thinking about those people, things start coming back to you. What do you remember about your siblings? Any stories from your parents? You know, we all have that. Is it family lore or is it real? This is a great way for you to store all of that information until you can sort through it or find people that know more and can help you add context to it. So let's take a look. We're going to go over to Archoral and we're going to see how we started this. So we're just going to do an overview flow of this, and then all of the neat little pop-ups and things that we're doing, we have other training videos on. So we are a profile and media-based application. And what that means is that you don't have to find your family's story in chronological order at all. Any point of the story does not need to be found in chronological order. So today what we're going to do is we are going to talk about Marisol. Now, her profile is one that I haven't built out much at all. Oh, here's my little caveat. This is an AI family that we are building to take on journeys for our choral training purposes, and that keeps my family's information safe. So we're just playing, and you're going to see some little cartoonish images and things, but it allows me to show you anything that you would like to see without muddling up my own private archive. So if I look at Marisol and I just started her profile, I don't have any information for her. What I did is I navigated over here to our timeline tab, and I've collapsed these other ones so we can just look at the storytelling section. And what I did is we're pretending, AI family, we're pretending that I did an interview with Marisol about her life. She stopped by to visit, so I took the opportunity to spend a few minutes recording to fill out her profile. And how I did this is I went up here to add additional and I put in the caption. The storytelling, this is just kind of a little section about notes. This is where I put in that she just came over, and so I took the opportunity. Then you actually click record, and you can just talk to the person or people. And who's telling the story? The me is going to be whose archive are you working out of? And right now, our archive owner is Sophia. So you want to put on behalf of, because it's Marisol that's talking. So this is the process that I did to get where we're going next. Ooh, close. There we go. So what this gives you, the benefit of having a voice recording is people just like to get lost in thought. And capturing somebody's voice gives you vocal inflection. It gives you a recording of their laugh, their giggle, how they emphasize certain things when they're telling stories. So that is just such a massive benefit for that. So you can come in here and you can actually listen to the audio recording anytime you like. But you can also view the transcription. Now, Archoral can auto-transcribe the recording for you. So now you have this beautiful searchable text. What I'm going to show you now is what do we do with that? So keep in mind, this is a whopping 3 minutes and 47 seconds. Not a lot of time at all. Marisol stopped by. I said, tell me a little bit about your childhood, threw it in the recording, and did the transcript of it. So this is what we're going to do with the transcript. If you come up here to the edit button, it will open the story. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to select the story. I'm going to copy and I'm going to come over here into ChatGPT. So I have a paid version because ChatGPT is phenomenal for research, but you can do this off of the free version as well. Actually, and I got a little ahead of myself, we need to put the prompt in first. So by prompt, you're instructing ChatGPT on what you want it to do with the information that you're giving it. You want it to return as much information laid out in a manner that works for you. So one of our handouts today is this transcript worksheet. It gives you a little bit of guidance on using ChatGPT for doing your research. But then what I've done is I've gone ahead and I have fully built out prompts for you to copy and paste into ChatGPT. So the first one is I want it to analyze. Stories are told in random order. You can go from kindergarten to college, back to talking about a friend from grammar school, and then have another memory about them again from college. So a normal conversation also is not in chronological order. So by taking that transcript and using this prompt, I'm going to ask ChatGPT to create me person profiles and extract information, give me relationship maps, location maps, cross-reference stuff, tag things with certainty levels. I built a lot in here, and this really makes me happy. So I'm going to start all the way from the top, and I'm going to tell ChatGPT, I am building a digital genealogy archive. all the way down to pasting my transcript and grabbing those little quote marks. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put it in chat. I'm going to paste it here. So where it says paste your full transcript here, that is your little insert. So I'm going to come back to this. We've already selected. I'm going to copy. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to select that little section and paste my transcript in here. So now I've given it direction. I've told it what I wanted, how I want it returned, and then I've given it the context of that transcription. 3 minutes and 47 seconds. Okay, look at what happens. I'm going to hit go. It's going to think. We're going to have a cup of coffee. It's going to analyze. I've already pre-done the other prompts, so you don't have to sit here and wait for ChatGPT to analyze. So while it's doing that, let's take a look at what I asked it for. So I wanted it to return person profiles with full names, estimated birth years, timelines, locations tagged, descriptions of events, the other people that were involved, because remember, people remember different parts of stories and different parts of memories. So if you get other people's points of view, the story starts to become more complete. Relationship map. With Archoral, we hold over 14,000 different relationships and building. So it's not just about your family, it's your friends, your coworkers, your fellow athletes, your roommates, your neighbors. All of that information can be extracted from these stories and stored with Archoral. It can identify any issues or inconsistencies and give you a chronological map of places lived, why they were significant, cross-reference everything. It's insane. So, oh, here's one of the fun things about ChatGPT is it sometimes chokes on itself. I provided a detailed chronological timeline. No, you haven't. Nope. So this is where you just have to kind of argue with ChatGPT a little bit. So let me show you what I did. I did the exact same process and I copy and I pasted my prompt in. There's the prompt, the exact same prompt. And I said, here's the transcript. It's the exact same transcript. So what it did was it gave me this whole breakdown. So we're going to work off of this. And then towards the end, I'm going to come back and I'm going to argue with ChatGPT and the other one to show you how it didn't follow directions and how to correct it. Again, we are working with AI. So what this gave me initially was a person profile breakdown from Marisol. It estimated, it pulled all of these relationships. Look at all those relationships it pulled. The location map, what they were, whether it was exact or not, if it was inferred, what the inference was. The life timeline talked about school, her mother, her father, where they live, went to kindergarten, she started ballet lessons. Look at all this information that came out of 3 minutes and 47 seconds. Adulthood, marriage, children. So this is everything about her. But then it went on and it also created the same information for other people that were mentioned in her conversation so that we can put that in their profiles as well. So it gave me information on her husband, Joshua, her daughter, that relationship map, her son, her sister-in-law, her husband's adoptive sister, her father, and then some of the other people that were just mentioned in passing, and then it will give you notes and assumptions. So I gathered all this information off of that one singular prompt and one singular transcription. But I don't have to stop there. I can go even farther. So the next prompt that I gave was this one. Used for locations and addresses. So there were some addresses in there where it was like, I grew up in a small adobe home in Santa Fe and I could walk to kindergarten. And then it said for my 7th birthday, I was given ballet lessons that I took with my friend Yana at the local community center. So there were no specific school names, no specific community center names. It just kind of gave inferred geographic locations. So I copied this prompt. Now, notice I have highlighted in blue, I previously provided in this chat. So I'm continuing along the same chat line in ChatGPT. So it already knows the transcript it's working off of. If you want to use this prompt independently of what you're doing, just change what's highlighted in blue with I will paste below and then insert your transcript. So you can use it both times. So location and address inference. So what I did next is I said, based on the transcript I previously did, and I pasted that prompt in there. And it gave me back likely a residential neighborhood near Santa Fe, confidence level inferred, and why. The kindergarten was possibly this kindergarten at this location, inferred. The community center, it gave me two options to look into. Santa Fe High School was exact because she mentioned I graduated from Santa Fe High School in 2009. University of Michigan gave you some residence halls. She had made a joke in there that her first college dorm they called Stockwell with Men because it was the first year that it was a co-ed dorm. And it took that it was a co-ed dorm for the first time, nicknamed Stockwell with Men, a likely reference to Stockwell Hall, which was traditionally all female in 2009. Look at the information you're starting to pull just from inferences without having to do any crazy research. So we got all of this location information. Look at all this craziness that you were able to extract. So we're going to go one more level. We're going to say, okay, there was a lot of my seventh birthday, and I was the youngest in my class. I graduated at this date. But then everything else in her recording was really kind of general and generic. So I want a little bit more context for my time frames. So this prompt is used for web-based date and detail lookup. So this will work to an extent on a free ChatGPT account. But if you go to the pro mode or any of the other levels that they have, you can enable research and do a really deep dive. So this is the prompt that I used here. And again, there's that blue highlight where if you want to use it for the first time, just replace that with the transcript I will upload below. So I copied this one and I asked it to give me verified, exact, look for some information. I gave it some examples. So I took that prompt here and I sent it off again. And it went and looked at Santa Fe High School class of 2009 typically occurs in late May, often between these two dates. The University of Michigan, it tells me that it reopened September 4th, 2009. So now I know that she couldn't have moved in prior to September 4th. So I'm starting to find my way down that rabbit hole. And we've been here for 21 minutes. And look at what I've done with 3 minutes and 45 seconds. So here's a bunch of date information that gets you a little bit more on your addresses, your dates, all that fun stuff. So what do we do with all that, right? So here we've got this great information. So when we come back to the profiles, I was able to go into Marisol's timeline and start adding in the birth of her children, her occupancy, her wedding, her academic graduation, when she moved to Ann Arbor for college, when she graduated high school. I'm starting to really fill this information out. And all that I've entered so far is the information from that very first original analysis of the transcript. I haven't even gotten to the second and third prompts that we asked ChatGPT to give us. So here we're getting the timeline information. So we can input that. You'll notice that our dates do not have to be specific dates. We have a date picker. So I'm going to show you that real quick. So when we have a date, here's our date picker calendar. We can come in and instead of going click, 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 you can just type in here 1975 and pull this down and say June and then pick a date. But if you're unsure, if you need one of those date estimations, you can do unsure about the date. About, after, or before, you could do either year, month, or season, a combination of two or a combination of three. And that's where we get these date inferences. Now, if you have that date range, just do a start date and an end date. And now we've got a date range. Looking at here, she was an occupant of Pioneer Square Lofts from November 1st to roughly before October 2018. So you're starting to move things, and the more information you have, the more you're able to hone in on some of that. But you've at least got it captured, and that's the big part. So all of those relationships, all those people that it came up with, our relationship section holds, like I said, 14,000 relationship combinations. Try and break it. I promise you, it's 14,000. So we don't rely on the tree in order to explore your environment. If I take you over here to Caleb, who I've sussed out quite a
And
bit.
Kate,
Yeah.
Kate, I am officially interrupting you.
Yes. What do you got?
Okay, the question is, are you entering this data manually or is it automatically updating?
I'm entering it manually. Yeah. We don't connect to outside sources, especially not artificial intelligence, because we are a very closed community. We are very privacy centered with the amount of information that we can hold. You have to be within our coral universe in order to access it. So as soon as there's an API that we trust to not come in there and meddle around in your world, then it's going to be manually entered. Yeah. And I can show you that from Caleb's point of view, I can show you there's all of this entry. And I went up here to add additional. And when I choose an event to put in his timeline, there are a lot of different choices. And when people look at our indexer section, they think, oh my God, that's overwhelming. There's no way I'm going to put all that in there. Everything is optional. Everything is optional. So this is built for weirdos like me that are going to use every single field and detail everything out ad nauseum, and weirdos like Laverne, where she's just going to put in a date, a person's name, and move on with life. The whole point is that it's archived. So when you're doing these events, you can literally come in here and just say Nathan's T-ball game, skip all the other stuff, put in a date estimate, skip all the other stuff, and hit save. And that still gives you a date and an event, and off you go. So you can start collecting this information a little at a time. You don't have to index like crazy right off the bat. I hope that helps. So you'll see here in Caleb's timeline that I've got grandmothers, I've got teachers, I've got athletes, nieces, sons, fathers, brothers, employees. When we go and we add additional relationships here, we have a relationship builder. Now, there's a whole video on how to use the relationship builder. And again, it looks complicated, but it's really just, I am so-and-so's father and they are my son or daughter. But this is where all of those different types of connections come in. Adoptive, donor, all of this. We also have the non-familial, which is all of your academic, business, personal, and then it goes even deeper from there. So anyone that is mentioned in those transcriptions, you can save and put in there. So let me show you this little green button. We're going a little out of order. I showed you how we can estimate dates in the timeline, but this little green ribbon, this is what we call a verification ribbon. So as you're entering in this information, you can put in that family lore that we spoke of. We can put in the, I think they lived somewhere here, and just capture it. It is a great placeholder for future conversations and future research. But when you come to the point where you're like, okay, I have sussed out some dates. I have sussed out some people, some addresses. I am confident that this is in fact valid. You can click the verification ribbon, and now you know that one is good to go. I'm confident in that. And these other ones, you can continue your research on, or you can just leave there as placeholders to do later or a future generation to do later. That's all up to you. So the next thing that we were going to look at is our locations. So we have an address locator that's pretty unique. So you'll see some of these say Seattle, Washington, really big area, right? Some of these give you a complete address. Some of these just give you a nickname. Some of them give you partials. So you don't have to have exact information to create a location. So we'll go in and we'll say, here's our location, Seattle, Washington, USA. Now, I made location profiles for a lot of the locations that I considered significant. And that is where the location name comes in. That's going to connect it to a location profile. Map is just going to save you an address. It's not going to create a profile for your location. And some of you may be a little curious. I'll show you that in just a second. So this is what our address locator looks like. I grew up at one address. They changed everything and changed our address halfway through my life. So now I've got a vintage and a current that will never find each other. So we made a way for those to be connected. So you have current, you have vintage, and you have partial. You can put in, if I only know the neighborhood was Walnut Ranch, I can just put the neighborhood in here. I can just put the country. I can just put anything I want. If I'm doing a current address, I can come in here and I can just start typing. It's connected to Google Maps, so it will pick something and it will drop a pin. Then if I know the vintage address for what I was looking at, I can come in here, pins in the same place, put in my vintage address. Now they're locked together. So again, you don't have to know complete details. You just have to get started. So let's change this back to my Seattle. So I have a Seattle, Washington profile, and I'm going to save that. So in our profiles, we do both people and locations. We have a bunch more in the works, but these are the two that we started with. So if you have that blank profile, you just get a 3-minute and 47-second recording and look at the explosive amount of information that you find. And as you're doing those, they are interconnecting. So when I'm putting something in someone's timeline, I put the ballet lessons back in Marisol's timeline, but I connected Yana because they were taking ballet lessons together. And that was all done in the indexer. So as I'm building out one profile, if I'm linking it to others, it's cascading throughout the archive. And what that is also doing is cascading throughout your location profile archives. So here's that Seattle, Washington one I had, but I created the Evergreen Health Medical Center from where Marisol's children were born. Look at that. Birth of Eliza Forrester, birth of Javi Forrester, birth of the runner, which is what we call Caleb. So it starts interconnecting. You find one conversation with one person, get a tiny amount of information, and as you enter that, it's going to cascade to their friends, their relatives, their locations, all of that. Then as you're finding information, as you're finding media, you already have that entry in there. So even though I'm over here on the Evergreen Health Medical, I can come in here and I can come down here and I can upload media, drag and drop, come from the Finder window, upload media, and it's going to automatically be attached to that event in anybody else's life. So this is how you start archiving without any media, is the details that are in people's brains is just phenomenal. You just need to extract it. That's the big key to it, is extracting. So in this document, this transcript prompt document, there are 3 prompts for you to copy and paste in. There's a little bit of how to use it. Now, we're going to share with you both the PDF and the Word document because I found that when you copy this out of a PDF, it loses the formatting. So feel free to do either. The other handout that we're going to give you is storytelling for preservation. And this PDF is just a little bit about guidelines for capturing details from people, how to guide them through those rough time frames, getting a little bit of information about other people. Now, that's another way that I love to do this is, so I'm on Marisol's profile and I'm recording her telling me about herself. I can still sit with Marisol, navigate to her mom's profile, click record and storytelling and say, tell me a little bit about your mama. Tell me a little bit about her childhood home or where she went to school. And then any of those things that I capture there, that story is captured in her mama's profile. Then I can go to Yana's profile and I could say, tell me about Yana's ballet. What was it like reconnecting with her for after so many years? So you see what I'm doing? I'm cascading from one direction to another. You can even go to a location profile, go to the storytelling in the location and say, tell me about the school. I remember they had a fire there at one point in time. Were you there when that happened, or was that before or after you? See what I just did? I gave an element of the fire at the school. Was it before or after you? Starts getting their memories and also gives you an estimate of that timeline. Ask for the memories. And that interconnectivity from each person's point of view, you would be amazed at how much your archive will explode. Then we've got a little bit of next steps and some benefits. And then there's just a little screen recording. Our storytelling section can record and transcribe up to a 1 hour block. So that means don't be rushed. Don't worry about it. Sit, take your time, take as much as you need, and just let the memories flow. And what you can end up with is absolutely phenomenal. So let's see, we did the prompts to get your memory flowing. We looked at storytelling and transcription. We pasted it into ChatGPT with some analysis prompts. We created some basic profiles. That one we didn't do. I will go back and I will show you quick create on the profiles right now. So I'm back here and I've got this list of all these people, right? I got this whole return from ChatGPT of all those people. So what I find easiest to do is to just go in and create profiles for each one of those people. You'll notice that here I've got Nana, TBD, she's living. That's all I know. Yana was just mentioned as going to ballet class, and they were roughly the same age. So she was born about 1992. So when I go up here to create a profile, I can do it for person or location. All you need is one of either first, middle, or last name. You can put in, like I did over there, Nana, the nickname. I can put in Yana. I can put in whatever I want. So you have one name field, life status, and then your privacy type is going to default to private. That's all the information that you need to create a person's profile. And then you start connecting all of those stories and weaving everything in together by creating them just here quickly. When you're in our event indexer and you're in the profile connecting things, all of those auto search fields make it that much quicker for you to move through. Creating locations is the same. You give it a profile name, a unique name. You can call it Granny's Garden House. You can do Seattle, Washington. It can be as big as the country, all the way down to GPS coordinates. That's really however you want to do your profiles. And then you can add in other information if you would like, but a name and the privacy is all that's needed. And you're off and running. So when you're in these sections and you want to create an event, anywhere that you're attaching people, you can type a name or connect a profile. Anytime you're typing people, look, There's Jana right there. Boom. I don't have to enter her every time or create it straight from this screen. So that's a really nice benefit for just creating those profiles ahead of time. Then it gets really, really easy and really quick to link everything together. We entered some data. We entered sporadic relationships. So we looked at how you can literally do those however you want. And then our trees will just start snapping all those things together. Our unique date picker, our address locator, where you can do vintage, current, partial. You don't have to know the exact spot. Verification ribbon, so that you know where you've researched and where you still want to travel to. And how this approach helps, it's so important to me to retain that recording of those vocal inflections. Whether you do anything, whether you do this flow that we're talking about or not, I can't even begin to tell you how much I wish I had a recording of my father reciting the grocery list to me. It really wouldn't matter. So having somebody's laugh is important. And if you take the time to transcribe and go through and enter that data in, it does nothing but benefit you from that point forward. It provides all the building blocks for future interviews and research, gives a placeholder for the media when you find some. And then we've got our two handouts that we're going to give to you.
So I promised you that I'd go back in and argue with ChatGPT. So I wanted to show you the result of that. Now you'll notice here all I typed in was "you did not follow my instructions. Please try again." And it returned me exactly what I was originally hoping for.
Okay. Well, this is an email address to get a hold of us. We are listening at archoral.com. If you have any questions, any concerns, want any guidance on helping you set up your archive, feel free to reach out to us. Any suggestions for webinars? I'm happy to not have to make the criteria all myself. So go ahead and scan that QR code and start archiving your journey. Happy archiving.